Goal of the 9-yard line. Hamilton keeps it. Touchdown.
It's your boy One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart, putting it down with In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Let's add him to the stage right now. Joe Ham is in the building. What up with you, Joe?
Chilling, man. Everything is copacetic, man. Feeling really, really good. It's not a hump day today for me. What it is Pisces season. All right, Pisces season. Yeah, tomorrow, Thursday, Pisces strike again, March 13th, 1977. Joseph Fitzgerald Hamilton was born.
77. So you be, well, how old will you be, Joe? That put you at
48 years of age. 48 years of age.
Wow. Look at God, man.
Man, feeling good, my brother. Feeling good.
Knocking on 50, man. Before we get started, man, we got to thank God every minute of every day. I'm your boy, Ryan Stewart, One Live Stu. This is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Joe Ham is the host of today's show, and I will be in the cockpit doing what is called co-piloting to make sure that we try to keep this thing on the road to get some stuff accomplished. Before we get started, man, congratulations on the almost birthday.
Yes.
That's huge, man. And I tell everybody that's knocking on 50, when I got to 50, things started getting brighter in my eyes. I started understanding the ways of the world. Yeah, I've been married for a while. Yeah, I got 3-headed churn. Yeah, I've had money in my pocket. Yeah, I've had to operate with less money in my pocket. But the pieces of the puzzle really didn't come together until I got to 50. So congratulations on being blessed to get to 48. But I really think things will start slowing down for you when you hit that big number of 50. Something monumental happens when it comes to taking more control of your entire life after that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I want you to talk to me a little bit more about that, because I could be swayed, I could be shifted. The mindset, I can do away with tradition and culture. What happens in 2 years? I mean, because is it a magical number? I mean, when you're talking about 49 or 48 or right before you turn 50, all of a sudden it clicked, and I understand because you've been there. There's no way I can say, hey, Stu, you don't know what you're talking about. No, because you walked through it and you're telling me from experience. But it's almost, can you put a nugget in my ear? Could you put a nugget in my soul to be almost like, I can cross that bridge 2 years prematurely? I don't have to get 50.
Well, first of all, great question and great comment. Is there any way you can cross that bridge prematurely? Can I give you that info that opened my eyes early, make you understand so you don't have to wait until 50?
Right.
It's something about the time being served, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
When you hit 50, I'm sorry, not you. When I hit 50, it didn't dawn on me that I was the OG in a lot of the text threads that I'm in. I do a lot of mentorship, help a lot of young kids. It didn't dawn on me until 50 where I'm like, you know, when they say yo OG, they really are talking about me. I've been on this earth 50 years now. And then when that dawns on you, it's like, it's a wake-up point to, because you're 50 now, stop wasting time and bullshitting with people that ain't 50 and may not understand that you've done this for 5 decades. You've got somewhat of a better understanding now of how to progress, how to be philanthropic, how to serve your Lord and be a servant every day of your life, how
servanthood,
to assist others, how to assist others with what they may be dealing with, how to connect the dots to make things happen. It wasn't until I hit 50 where we got to get to these sports, man. It is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. We'll get to these sports here in 1 second. It wasn't until I hit 50 where I realized, you know, my network is my net worth. And I have the ability 100% of all of me to give 100% of all of me. But 100% of all of me is limited. Who can I attach myself to 100% all me that has a knowledge base and a network that is nothing like mine. But they're a person that I trust and believe in, and they trust and believe in me, and we can combine like Voltron to accomplish something, whatever that may be.
Yeah, teamwork.
Once I attach to that person and they realize that we're cut from the same cloth, serving the same God, having the same purpose, and wanting to do the same good, who can they open us up to together that will be willing to be another part of Voltron? And when they join, they've now got the ability to help us in the world of politics or in fundraising because it's their expertise. At the end of the day, it all comes down to trusting and believing in your network and being involved and in bed with the right people.
Yep.
If you're hanging out with cats that's making 30 grand a year, you're going to find yourself making 30 grand a year, and ain't nothing wrong with 30 grand a year. You find yourself talking to cats that's making $1 million a year, you sitting at the table with them while they make $1 million a year, you talking business with them while they're making $1 million a year, you're going to find yourself in conversations with people that's making $1 million a year.
You must have
expedite your process at all.
Oh my goodness, you must have had that in your back pocket, my brother. You must have been psychic to knowing that question and this topic was going to come up because you answered it. And I don't have to be patient. What I have to do is keep it moving. Don't think time of. Make sure you know that time is of the essence. That 2 years from now, keep it moving. Time is running out, and time is running out right now.
That's right.
And yes, let's wake up and contact
and guess what,
and
man?
connect.
And guess
Contact
what, man?
and connect.
We literally take it for granted. We just know right now, you and I, it's 1:10 on March 12th on Wednesday. We take it for granted that in 24 hours from now, we're going to be here.
Right. Right.
We take it for granted. And there's a high chance that within the next 24 hours, we both will know of someone that is no longer here.
No longer here. Yes.
So why are we taking it for granted? Why are we squandering our blessings? Why are we not helping everybody we can help? Don't you get me started, Joe. It's your boy, One Line Stu, man, Ryan Stewart. I'm one of the co-hosts of the world famous Two Line Stews. We get down every Monday and Thursday at 7 a.m. Make sure you join us tomorrow because we'll have some riveting conversations. But this is the Joe Ham Show, or In the Huddle with Joe Ham, and we do it every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. A lot of topics to get into today, Joe. We're not going to be too long. When it comes to a video I just saw, which was in the show open, it made me want to have one more off-subject topic before we get to the sports. That play where you dove across the line of scrimmage or across the end zone. What game was that?
That was Boston College game. That was the opening game of the 1998 season. Opening game.
How does it make you feel when you see that?
Chill bumps, Stu. Literally gave me chill bumps. I said, why did you dive? I asked myself that question just watching it. Why'd you dive? And immediately in my head went to, you always finish through the line. You always finish through the goal line. When you see that bad boy, there's no coasting. You want to know something that burns my bacon?
What burns your bacon, sir?
It burns my bacon to see any professional athlete or any athlete in the game of football that gets that ball knocked out or drops that ball prematurely before they hit the end zone. I do not understand it. It makes my skin crawl. I don't care if you've been doing that 1,000 times. Right. 2 more steps of jogging through, and you can showboat all you want.
Right.
If you've never, ever been coached to coast through a line. Never, ever. So my question to be whoever I'm talking to, whoever I'm coaching, whoever I'm mentoring about the game of football, where'd you get that from? Now, obviously, you get it from the TV. You get it from the other guys doing it. But why did you do that? And you know what, Stu? My team, the general manager, my fan base, my friends, they're not going to like it when I do it. But that team that I'm coaching and that player could be the number 1 quarterback. He could be the number 1 safety. He could be MVP, but he's going to sit down. Now it's going to be under my control, whether it's a quarter, whether it's just for a series and talk to him. But he's going to sit down. Yeah. And by God, if he's not a starter, he might get cut.
In the Huddle with Joe Ham, it is amazing that. What year was that Boston College game where you did that?
1998.
It was amazing. That was in 1998. This is 2025. And I ask you about the play and what you remember about a great play that we have in the open of your show is that you're being critical of yourself. You didn't finish the drill. You don't think you did that the right way. And here we are talking about a great play. You scored on it, and you're being critical of how you could have done it more right.
More right because it's instilled, it's embedded, and again, you get a little bit of not cheating the game
Joe,
in you, but
that's
a
what
little
you
bit of
that's what you want. That's what you want to teach. That's what needs to be taught to the younger people. We both mentor athletes. You got a son that's walking through everything that you've been through already. That's where the blessing comes in of the knowledge that you've learned. You know why I don't like this, Skylar? Because if I would have done this would look better 20 years later.
right.
As a matter of fact, I'm reviewing it 20 years later, and I'm not proud of how I acted 20 years ago. You feel me, Joe?
Yeah. And to add to that point that, oh, Dad, there's nothing wrong. Oh, Coach Hamilton, there's nothing wrong with that. Nice dive. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but sometimes when you do some things that you know is not right, that's teetering right from wrong or knowing better, it could come back to where you say, hey, man, that was quite of a look that I'm not proud of. So why not correct it now and try to do better? And there's no harm, no foul. But again, internally, when you check it out, those were my thoughts that Hamilton, did you have to dive and did you finish the drill?
It's your boy, One Live Stew, Ryan Stewart, host of the Two Live Stews every Monday and Thursday at 7 o'clock on YouTube TV. You can check us out at www.twolivestews.youtube.com or www.twolivestews.facebook.com. But this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. First topic tonight, Joe, tons of movement in the National Football League when it comes to free agency. But we can't start with that. We haven't spoken or done a show since LeBron and Stephen A. had their situation last week. Right. I want to get your thoughts and have you expound upon that situation before we get into the National Football League and free agency.
I've been hearing a lot. I hadn't heard LeBron speak publicly. They tried to read words between what he said to Richard Jefferson on the court, whether he was talking about the situation with him and Stephen A. Smith or not. But I've been hearing Stephen A. talk a lot. I heard him on the show, First Take afterwards, the morning after. And LeBron had no place for what he did. And that's just the bottom line. He had no place for what he did. And I'm not going to say you can miss me with him being a father, like Stephen A. said, that was the father in him and not an athlete and not a big bully is trying to say, don't talk about my son. But again, where do they do that at? You have a problem with the media. Yeah, I've heard about people, not talking to a media, representative or saying that I'm going to, boycott that person. I'm going to run right out of the locker room. I'm going to boycott. We know what Marshawn Lynch said. I'm here just for me not to get fined type deal during the Super Bowl. Right. I get all that. But what is Stephen A. Smith is what I'm thinking about, Stu. He's a reporter, and he reported. It's one thing if he said something about Bronny James being late, or Bronny James' work ethic, Bronny James cheating the game, or Bronny James getting technical fouls, or something about personable, but he didn't get personable. He didn't get personable about talking about Bronny James at all. All he did is talk to him specifically about the numbers that Bronny's been putting up, and specifically about how LeBron James has put a lot of pressure on
Bronny
his son.
In a situation. He's put Bronny in a position. He's put him in a situation with his actions.
LeBron James didn't do any falling back. He didn't do anything that I'm going to let my son live out his dreams and I'm going to stay in the cut. Now, it's hard for LeBron James to stay in the cut. I understand. I mean, he's got more notoriety and popularity than I can even imagine. Wherever he goes, he's scrutinized. Wherever he goes, the eyes on him. I understand that, and I know that. So I can't put myself in that shoes, but I can say to you that public criticism, when you sheltering your boy, you sheltering him from NBA talk, NBA
grown man.
And when you can tell me
this your son, but we talk about a grown man that is in the NBA right now.
And when you can tell me anything, Stu, that was disrespectful to Bronny or about Bronny, I'm all ears. because I don't want to speak on this, and have my opinion skewed that I missed out on something. This is a guy also, LeBron James, whom I admire. I mean, I love him. He can do no wrong in my eyesight other than once I got over the decision and him going to Miami. When I got over that and knowing how much monies he raised for the Boys and Girls Club and his whole intent of that hour-long show, I'm over that. The flopping and all that. I'm over that. I'm not with that. But
as you just mentioned, 5 things that you don't like. Okay, so you and I both, we disagree on a lot in the world of sports. But what we do agree on is LeBron and his greatness. Now, that being said, while mentioning his greatness and how much you adore and love him, you talked about a handful of things that you do not like. I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
And I wonder if you've thought about it like this. Name a player in the NBA that is not LeBron James.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
If Giannis stepped to Dan Patrick at a Milwaukee's Bucks game and goes to Dan to fuss to Dan about something he said about him during his playing career, what happens to Giannis? Is that a story now?
No.
MVP all-star athlete during live contest approaches member of the media to talk about something he's upset about, to talk about something he disagrees with that he's had a take on. Joe, that's something that can't be condoned.
No,
Ron Artest can't punch a fan. Ron Artest don't need to be getting in a scuffle with a fan. Ron Artest don't need to be in a position where he's addressing fans. Athletes don't need to be at their job, walking to media members, sharing their disgruntled thoughts.
And you know what, Stu? I love what you just said about being at their job. You're making my next point that I want to bring up here.
Make your point.
This was a situation where I think LeBron James, the senior, wanted a little bit of attention to this as well, because you're LeBron James. Earlier, about 2 weeks ago, you had Rich Paul, when this all went down, you had Rich Paul or your representatives call Stephen A. Smith and talk to him about, you need to pipe down a little bit. LeBron ain't happy, so to speak. And Stephen A. Smith would be like, hey, I'll come see LeBron. I'll talk about it. It's no hate. I want to see what his side is. I do respect him as a mega star, global star. All he's done for the game of basketball, yes. But to your point about being on the job as well, Ryan Stewart, this was during a time out of a basketball game. So it wasn't.
You more focused on Stephen A. and his comments than your job at the moment.
Oh my God! And this is not, hey, Stephen A., I'm gonna see you in the tunnel afterwards. Make sure you hang around. Let me have a word or two with you. Stephen A. Smith would have gladly hung around, or just quickly chop it up to say, we got to still talk. Call me before you leave LA. What you doing in the morning? Anything briefly, not to have that conversation right then, and not even let Stephen A. Smith talk. It was what my grandma used to call a lashing. I'm gonna give you a lashing. You're gonna get a lashing when you get home.
So you just mentioned, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm the boy One Life Stu, Ryan Stewart. You just mentioned LeBron James being a global star. Guess what? On the other side of that coin, there's almost no bigger global media star than Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. So, you flat out disrespected him.
The same respect that he showed you when you stepped to him all aggressive, you should have shown him before you stepped to him all aggressive. Stephen A. just signed a 5-year, $100 million deal.
Woo-wee.
How many people in the media have been blessed to do that? He's one of them. So the same respect that he was conscious enough to show you when you came to him all irate, maybe you should have done the same, LeBron.
Yes, maybe you should have done the same. And again, the tone, the respect factor when it occurred, and about your son basketball prowess, about your son playing basketball, and you're a basketball player. And oh, by the way, he's the son of an icon, LeBron James. Surely I can talk about him, can't he? I?
That's right.
So I can only talk about it when he's balling out. I can only talk about it when he's doing very, very well. when he's playing 20 minutes in the NBA game. Now, he is playing very well in the G League. I think 21-5-5 is pretty good. So, but I can't even evaluate him. I was not criticizing him, the person. So when it comes down to it, Stu, LeBron James is out of pocket in my opinion about that. The way he's been about it, not what was said, because he's a grown man. He can say, express his feelings how he wants to express his feelings. But the timing, when it occurred, and the surface of it, that's my son, almost like, stop messing with him. What do you mean messing with him? Stop reporting on him? Because again, I'm still a reporter. So when he does well, when things are going well, you want me to still stop messing with him? Or do you only want me to paint him in a very, very great light and nothing negative? How do you want me to do this thing?
Wrapping things up right now in the Huddle with Joe Ham on this topic. Last comment about Stephen A. and LeBron. Do you watch First Take in the morning?
Yes. Okay. I have my segments definitely with Cam Newton is on there. I do.
Okay. You like Cam on there? I like Cam on there too, but I really watch more First Take when Stephen A. has Club Shay Shay on. Okay.
Yeah, I love Shay Shay.
That being said, have you, while watching First Take, heard LeBron say anything negative or bad personally about Bronny James?
Have I heard LeBron say that or Stephen A?
Sorry. Have you heard Stephen A say something negative about LeBron, about Bronny personally?
No.
Outside of basketball. Have
Never.
you heard Stephen? Okay. I was just curious. Because that's
just
what
to
asking people.
And just to add to that real quick, I've never heard Stephen A. Smith say anything personally about LeBron James Sr.
Okay.
Other than basketball.
Just checking.
Outside of, he's been a magnificent father. He loves his kids and loves his wife.
Yep.
Outside of that, there's nothing negative at all. So, yeah, man. Yeah.
In the Huddle,
I can move on from
boy, One Life Stu, Ryan Stewart. This is Stewart Media and Entertainment, and it is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I mean, there's a handful of NFL teams right now that they need to strike while the irons are hot. Your words, not mine. They need to strike while the irons are hot because they've got pretty good quarterbacks that have low salaries right now. That gives them the opportunity to accomplish something, Joe. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it during this period, and today marks the official NFL season. March 12th, the official season has begun. You can put the champions, Philadelphia Eagles. They are the Super Bowl champions of last season. This season is brand new, 0-0. Every team leading up to the draft, and I'm looking at it. I'm seeing the moves and the free agency that teams are making. And what stood out to me is the Washington Commanders. I'm saying, goodness, Washington, you guys are making moves. You traded for Larry Tunsil, offensive lineman from the Houston Texans. Then you went out and you got Deebo Samuel to give another weapon for Jaden Daniels. And you're shoring up things. And I said, why? And why is it so important? It's so important because you can maneuver around with a quarterback that's drafted in the first round. You got really 4 to 5 years to where you're going to really have to pay and really mess up that salary cap and mess up the guaranteed money and deferred money and those type of things. So if you can, the teams that come to my mind is the Washington Commanders. I think they're going to have a step up, ready-made quarterback that's going to ball out. The Chicago Bears. Now, say what you want to say about Caleb Williams. I think Ben Johnson is going to do whatever it takes to reassure that offensive line. He's going to be a much better quarterback in the pocket. He's on a nice upward-coming trajectory because when you look at his numbers outside of taking sacks, it wasn't bad rookie numbers at all. It wasn't bad numbers at all, but when you were running with your like a chicken with your head cut off and you can't really sit back in the read coverages, it's going to affect you. The next, I got the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans the same way. You've been in the playoffs two straight times with C.J. Stroud. Build around him. Spend a lot of money on defensive linemen, offensive linemen, linebackers, whoever, running backs, wide receiver. Because why? You don't have to pay a really, really standout quarterback yet. I also go to the Denver Broncos. And I love Bo Nix. Bo Nix in the way, Sean Payton, that offense, build around. A lot of people don't like this one, but I thought about it, and I like the way he looked. Drake May up in New England. Drake May.
I'm not a fan either.
Played really, really well. No weapons at all around him. That skill positions group is defraud of any kind of talent, but you have money. You have money. They lead the league in salary cap. So what do you do now? You build a team to where you don't get stuck. And you don't get stuck. And how do you get stuck? I'll give you an example. You get stuck to where John Lynch and what Kyle Shanahan is going through right now. They tried, and they were very close to striking while the iron was hot with Brock Purdy. Because why? You had Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, or last few picks in the draft, and you were able to pay a lot of people. Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Trish McCaffrey, you name it. Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, Bosa, Fred Warner, you name it. They were able to pay those guys top dollars. But now all of a sudden, Brock Purdy is due. He's due, and that window is closing now because it's going to have now you cut Greenlaw. Now you're thinking about you had to get rid of Deebo Samuel. Now you're cutting back on some of those things. You lost Tre'Davious Ward out of the secondary, Hufanga out of the secondary. So now you're going to have to sign Brock Purdy. And how are you going to make that cap work now? Because now you got to pay a big quarterback. It's hard for you to build a team when your quarterback is doing it, taking up a lot of the cap. A lot of people would bring up, or I brought up to myself, Jalen Hurts. He signed a big-time deal and was able to capitalize on a Super Bowl era and a Super Bowl run, losing one, winning one. Remember, he wasn't a first-round guy. He wasn't a first-round guy, so you didn't have that leverage. You didn't have that 5-year where you could pick up an option or you can, try and see one more time. He was a second-round guy, so it was a little bit more of a thing. They had to sign him real quick.
Before we move forward, Joe, this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. You mentioned Drake May. Before we get to the next topic, if the New England Patriots finished at 4-13 and Drake May wasn't a part of two of those wins because he was out injured, how could he be a quarterback that had a good year last year?
Well,
you mentioned him. You mentioned him after mentioning CJ.
Right.
You mentioned him after mentioning Jaden Daniels. You mentioned him after mentioning Caleb Williams, who had more wins than two. So I'm just curious, and I want to make sure that the listener understands your thoughts and your views. You're putting Drake May in the class with the likes of Jaden Daniels, CJ, and am I wrong for asking the question?
No, that's a great question. But again, I'm not putting the only likes I'm putting him in those guys with is the fact that they got first-round draft picks and they can pick up the fifth-year option. I am putting that again with those guys, the fact that if you see, which I saw and think that you have your guy, and I think they have their guy in Drake May. He's not as good as those other guys, but right now I see I full field reads, the ability to pocket awareness, the grasp of the offense, having Mike Vrabel being able to settle things down as a new head coach and not Gerard Mayo, a first-timer, would help things out like that. I just see his potential that I think we have our quarterback. He's no Jaden Daniels. We have our quarterback that we like and we think we can build around him. This is the time. This is the time to do it. Not the fact that he's one of those guys, top-notch skill set and produced this season with, but going forward, I think he's a guy that, yes, the New England Patriots can say that we've got our guy. We hit on the number 3 overall pick, and we can move forward with him.
I want to run down a rabbit hole with this before we go into the next topic, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm your boy, Ryan Stewart. He is Joe Hamilton, Heisman runner-up in 1999, all-around great guy, South Carolina Hall of Fame, Georgia Hall of Fame. He knows his stuff. Great quarterback. C.J. Stroud dealt with somewhat of a sophomore slump after a very impressive rookie year. Jaden Daniels, are you looking to him to have a sophomore slump? You mentioned earlier how Washington's done a good job of curating a better team around Jaden Daniels. What do you think about year 2 for Jaden Daniels coming into the season? You see him having a sophomore slump like C.J. Stroud did last season?
That's one that I'm not going to get too, educational like I can with it, but I will say this to you, Stu. C.J. Stroud was let down by Bobby Slowick, the second-year offensive coordinator that got fired by DeMeco Ryans because he didn't produce. C.J. Stroud got sacked like as soon as he said hut, he was sacked a lot of times. Now, you can say some sacks on the quarterback, some sacks of protections and offensive.
If you hold the ball on a 3-step drop, you hold the ball on a 5-step drop, you hold the ball on a 7-step drop, odds are somebody going to get to you.
Odds are somebody going to get two, but it was the whole entire offensive line that culminated into C.J. Stroud struggling this year. Sophomore slump. I will take that sophomore slump, lead my team back to the playoffs. What it did show for C.J. Stroud is that he's a tough hombre. It showed that he can get up when he got knocked down, because to go back and face that barrel time and time and time again, Sunday after Sunday, knowing that your offensive line is not being protected in a defensive side of a conference that loves to rush the passer, that's a lot of fortitude. That's a lot of grit. I do not see that in Jayden Daniels. I see him going to uptick. Now, I'll say this about Jayden Daniels. An uptick in his production can be the same production, but looks a little bit differently. Because I don't care if he's a rookie or a 8-year veteran, those numbers he put up last year will stand the test of time. It wasn't good for a rookie. It was good for a quarterback, period.
Anybody. Good for a quarterback. Right.
So if he drops off a little bit or be consistent like he was this past season, I don't see it, because I see it wasn't fluky. Stu, it wasn't fluky. I didn't see anything being thrown up. I did see a Hail Mary that you get every now and then, but I didn't see any try to trick them plays and gadgets. I saw a quarterback dropping back in the pocket, knowing where they're going with the football, utilizing his legs and being smart with utilizing his legs as far as getting down, not taking the big hits. No, I do not see a sophomore slump from Jayden Daniels. I see him being one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League, probably teetered in the top 5.
Before leaning towards a little bit of NBA talk, maybe one or two more things for Joe Hamilton, because this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Joe, do you think GMs leak bad information on purpose to throw other teams off the scent? Do you think GMs leak bad information on players to help with team negotiations? Give me your thoughts on those comments.
Yes. And I don't think they do it intentionally to say that I'm going to throw Team A under a little curveball on what I think of a prospect, or I'm gonna throw Team B off by saying I really love or like this prospect. But it's being done, and it's being done because they are telling the media it's a dial it up type of age. It's a on your Twitter phone, on X, Facebook, Instagram type age. So when you talk to somebody, reporters might say that I spoke to an anonymous source that told me that Shedeur Sanders didn't have a good interview. Shedeur Sanders was very, very brash. So Shedeur Sanders was cocky in his interview, didn't give the time of day to the guys that, asked him questions. Who's that coming from? Is that an assistant quarterback coach that he's saying that to? Is that an offensive coordinator? Is that the head coach? Are you saying that because you like him being brash? Are you saying that because you would like your quarterback not being brash? When you say the 40 time and not being accurate, not just Shedeur Sanders, when you're talking about an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or his hands. Well, when we scout guys and when we look at guys, what we want in guys, we want their hands to be, 10 inches long. And this prospect does not quite have those type of hands. He only has a 8 3/4. Are you going to not get him, or you're not going to draft him? Why are you bringing those type of things up would be the question I'll ask. And you're saying those things out loud and knowing that people are going to hear you, knowing that people are going to say, well, if they feel that way, maybe he should slide down on our board. It's all a, cat and mouse game of targeting who you like, and making sure that you don't amp your guy up too much. Because if you amp your guy up a little bit too much, because it can go two ways, Stu. It can go to where you talk so bad about a guy that guys will take a certain prospect off the board. Or if you talk up on a guy too much that you really love a guy that may be a diamond in the rough, then guys are going to be looking. I remember the story about Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid, they loved him. But they didn't say too much about loving Patrick Mahomes at all. They knew in-house that they were going to make some moves to try to move up to get Patrick Mahomes, but he was a diamond in the rough that you had to see potential. And of Andy Reid, can you imagine Andy Reid telling, or his staff saying that, man, that Patrick Mahomes, we really like his footwork. We love his arm strength. We love his football makeup and his football IQ.
Why would he do that? To tip them off and tip other people off about how good he was? If he's on somebody's board, that information is going to put him on somebody else's board.
Yes, or somebody like Shedeur Sanders is on top of somebody's board right now, and you want to nitpick on his footwork in the pocket. You want to nitpick on him holding the ball too long. Is that going to run somebody else off? Are you doing that to run somebody else off? All those things are very, very good questions. And I put it to you like this. Why would you not try to run anybody off? Why would you not try to throw somebody who's studying the same film you were studying?
Play chess and not play checkers. This mind games and head games go on with coaches and players and teams versus other teams as well. It's exactly right.
I'm going to give you a quick stat just about Shedeur Sanders, what I love, what I ran across that. It wouldn't blow your mind because you watched the games and you know exactly what happened. But it just struck me. Will Howard is the quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yes, sir.
I think he might get drafted. He's no Shedeur Sanders in my opinion. But what they'll say about him is that he gets the ball out of his hand, that he's quick as far as his decision-making. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then you look at Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, he holds on to the ball a little bit long. He can't dissect the coverages, but, boy, he takes a lot of sacks. I'll give you the stats, sir. Shedeur Sanders has been sacked 92 times in 2 seasons. 45 this past season. You want to take a wild guess how many times Will Howard has been sacked or had been sacked this previous season?
I'm not going to take a guess because I'm positive you're about to tell me.
14. Excuse me, 14. So you're talking about a guy that got sacked 14 times in Ohio State, Will Howard, and a guy that got sacked 45 times in Colorado. But we're going to say one guy held on the ball a little bit too long and waits till things develop. Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, that can be true. Like you said earlier, you hold the ball on a 3-step or you hold it on a 5-step, somebody's going to touch you up. Yes. But we also have to go to the offensive line and the protection.
No doubt.
That Will Howard can be back there baking a cake. He can be back there cooking breakfast, and he would not get touched. On the flip side, Shedeur Sanders is showing a lot of toughness and grit by getting that sack that many more times and getting back up. I just thought that was very alarming that Will Howard does not hold on to the ball because he's protected and his 5 stars in front of him. And Shedeur Sanders holds on to the ball too long because he's been getting sacked and not putting it on the offensive line.
In the huddle with Joe Ham, since you brought up Shedeur Sanders before we move on, tell me your draft order when it comes to the quarterbacks that's available right now. And I know this is a fluid list that you'll be giving me. We did not discuss this earlier. So this is a fluid list that prior to the draft, when we talk about it on these shows, sure, it may change. But right now, give me your draft order of the upcoming quarterbacks.
I've changed a little bit in the dynamic playmaking of Cam Ward. I have Cam Ward ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And the lone reason why I do that is because I think Cam Ward is a little bit more mobile and creative in the pocket. The pocket awareness for Shedeur Sanders, outstanding. But the escapability, the ability to, draw out plays or have different platforms and extend plays, Cam is just a little bit higher rated. Shedeur's IQ is better than Cam Ward's. Cam Ward has a more lively arm, can really zip it down the field. He's trying to stretch the field. Shedeur Sanders is a deadly accurate guy that can really know about his football IQ. You can't trick him in coverages because he knows how to get the football out of his hands. 70% completion rate. But I got Cam Ward slightly ahead because of this day's NFL. Because Shedeur Sanders to me is a drop back passer. Bottom line, he's a drop back passer. He's got some athletic ability, but he's not overly athletic. Good pocket awareness, but he's just a pure drop back passer. So Cam Ward and then Shedeur Sanders. And it threw me a wrench a little bit with what the Raiders did, Pete Carroll getting Geno Smith, because I thought that was a perfect opportunity for the swag and the aura Shedeur Sanders bring would fit right in with with Oakland, the Las Vegas Raiders, I thought it would fit right in. But you got a stopgap guy in Geno Smith that he's not the long-term answer, but he's a stopgap guy. But I don't think that Shedeur is a stopgap or he's a waiting type of prospect. I think Shedeur Sanders is a plug and play wherever he goes. He's ready with Pat Sherman, the offense they ran last year. I think he's ready to play.
That's what I hate, because other topics come up while we're talking.
I love it.
I don't view Shedeur as a stopgap guy either, but I also think that if there's any way you could put a great rookie quarterback in to be your starter in year 2 versus year 1, I think that's better for his long-term success with that franchise. You agree or disagree?
To wholeheartedly agree with you. Yes. You're going to have to be on page, though, with your owner. You're going to have to be on page. Just remember now, Michael Penix Jr., we see that here in Atlanta with him. I mean, you drafted him number 8th overall to sit back and wait for 2 years, and we all figured that he was going to be ready when he took over the show. It was a little bit earlier than we anticipated because Kirk Cousins sold the farm, so to speak. But it always bodes well when you can sit. It always bodes well when you can sit and learn, get the speed of the game, prepare like you're the starter, being the second string, going on the road, having to have a game plan implemented, practice schedule, all those type of things, traveling schedules. That would bode well. But it's going to be hard to tell your owner you're going to draft somebody 6th overall and sit them. And even more so, how are you going to sell the team on that when you guys say, hey, veterans? Say, for instance, Max Crosby. Say, for instance, Max Crosby, who just signed an extension defensive end with Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
We just got Geno Smith. I want more help. I want to get to the playoffs. I want to build the big Kansas City and Denver and the Chargers in our division. And here you are wasting a pick. What about somebody else you're going to get at number 6th or 7th overall that it can help us win now, as opposed to getting the quarterback that is going to wait and play?
We debated this a few years ago, and we debated the whole Kirk Cousins, Penix Jr. situation and how I saw it as wasteful, because if you pay Kirk Cousins all that money, you got to use number 8 to make him better. Right. You got to use number 8 to make the defense better. Top 10 to 12, all those guys should be utilized in the upcoming season, in my opinion. Right. So you just make the comment about Max Crosby. That's the comment I was making about Kirk Cousins and Penix. You know,
it's real. It's real. It's a real conversation.
You brought up Geno.
Yes.
Before we get out of NFL, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham, before we venture out of the NFL, one more NFL topic. Geno signs a free agent deal to go to Vegas, even though I think they hadn't agreed on terms yet. Sam Darnold signs a 3-year, $100 million deal to go to Seattle. Justin Fields signs a 2-year, $40 million deal to go to the Jets. Can you rank these signings for me? And after ranking these signings for me, order which teams will have the best season. Now, that's before free agency is done. That's before the draft. Just rank these signings. Tell me if you like them or don't like them, and then rank the team's success next year based off these signings. And then we'll jump into the NBA for one topic before we get out of here.
Yeah, I'll start off with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold going to the Seattle Seahawks. I must say, man, that that's a pretty good signing right away. You get rid of Geno Smith, and then you bring Sam Darnold, who had an excellent year last year. And happy for him. Happy for him. He was able to get that money. He didn't bust the bank. I think he upgraded. Who would have thought Sam Darnold was going to be who he is now, going to have the season he had last year. But I hate the move, what Seattle did to him. I mean, Sam Darnold's got to be like, what in the world did y'all do to me? All of a sudden, Seattle looked real fancy. Seattle looked real good in the way they were up and coming with first-year head coach McDonald. But then all of a sudden, you trade away DK Metcalf. All of a sudden, you cut Tyler Lockett. I mean, so now I'm going in there so handicapped. And where's my weapons? Who am I going to throw the football to? So I expect Sam Darnold to not go all the way back to the first-round draft pick for the New York Jets or go back to the guy that played at Carolina. He's going to be somewhat of a guy that he was at Minnesota last year. Excuse me, but I think his play is going to drop off. And the reason why his play is going to drop off because I don't see any weapons. And if you do get weapons up in Seattle, it's going to be the weaponry from the draft, and it's going to be young guys, few guys in free agency. But that's the worst move, not initially, but turning out to be the worst move for those quarterbacks and Sam Darnold, because where are your weapons? Justin Fields, he has a weapon. He has a weapon in his old college football teammate and Garrett Wilson. The rapport, knowing him, knowing his body language when he's breaking down and coming in and out his cuts, being able to just having an off season with him, talk about things outside of football. That chemistry is going to be there, and that's brand new. That is absolutely brand new with the new coordinator. What's his name? It's missing me right now. Aaron Glenn, the new defensive coordinator at the New York Jets. But just to where I don't know where Justin Fields is with his ceiling. I don't think he will ever be a great NFL quarterback. He'll be a solid starter for a long time. His just skill set and accuracy and the way he delivers the ball, he's going to have to find some more way to get reads, full field reads where you're reading one side, you're coming back to the other side, you're hitting check downs, being more of a passer than just a runner. But I want to keep those running skills viable or valuable because they are. Now, the Jets, the talent is there. It's about Aaron Glenn. Can you turn it around real quick? But I like the move with Justin Fields. And Las Vegas Raiders, man. The Las Vegas Raiders, I love the move. And I'll start off with Chip Kelly running that offense. Chip Kelly being able to maneuver some offenses around the quarterback. Geno Smith being around, not putting the ball in harm's way, and he can flat out throw the football. Geno Smith can flat out throw the ball. He's a veteran, and I think he has 2 to 3 more years in him. Pete Carroll, the head coach, so that whole culture being more of a football culture. Let's get the work done. Look out for each other. So, with that being said, those are the rankings. I got Geno Smith first with the Raiders. I like how that's going to turn out. Will it be a playoff? That's a tough division. Then I'm going Justin Fields with the New York Jets. And all by himself is Sam Darnold, man. Not because he didn't get his money, only because, man, they stripped you of all your weapons. All your weapons is hard. It's very, very hard to play quarterback, and not a mobile type guy to play a quarterback with no weapons. And oh, by the way,
got Geno, you got Sam at 3, Justin at 2, Geno at 1. Do you think the team's success will fall into the same order? Geno in Las Vegas having a better record than Justin and the Jets having a better record than Sam coming in last, and not because of the quarterbacks individually. Yeah. But because of the chefs that put them in the kitchen and the ingredients that's around them in that kitchen.
Yeah, and I would like to switch up the overall team success. I would like to put the Jets right ahead of the Raiders just because of that team. That team that was left off last year with that defensive line, Sauce Gardner in the secondary, plethora of running backs. You know the running game automatically is going to be top in the league because you're bringing in Justin Fields as your running quarterback, so that's going to top it off. But Pete Carroll and the Raiders, and that culture. It might not look like it with the wins and losses, but you'll see very early that where they're heading is just that team-wise, what they did with last year with Devontae Adams, getting rid of him, and Josh Jacobs. They stripped that team down of a lot of talent. So that's how I go in that order. And, oh, by the way, I think I think Aaron Rodgers is going to call it quits. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to not play this season. I think he's trying to get to a team now, or he might be on a team, but it's going to come out that there's no fit. There's no room left for him.
I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy.
I
think he's a better option than the back third of starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. And I think that maybe if he's not in a camp prior to the season, or if he's not in a camp this spring because he's off in some mountain somewhere smoking weed and doing shrooms, that he will get a call before the season's over. He will get a call before the season's over. He will get a call after an injury if he still wants to play. He's better than the back third of quarterbacks in the league, and I think he is not off the board for people because I think he still wants to play.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little food for thought, Stu. I'll give you a little food for thought here. And you're right. He still has quite a bit left in the tank. He's better than a third of the quarterbacks in the league right now. You're right. But, boy, what would he do to a locker room? You have to consider what he will do to a locker room. This is a guy that had a planned vacation and tried to say it was excused. It's no big deal doing mandatory minicamp. So if you got a fragile offense or a young team or a young wide receiver, and that is why now I don't even see him with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would, on paper, look really, really good with Tomlin being the CEO and the weapons with DK Metcalf and then George Pickens and the running back situation. But then again, you've seen those guys' body language when they don't catch a ball. You've seen those guys.
with all the money Pittsburgh has spent, whoever they ultimately get to be their quarterback, coming in and giving him a deal, if he was to get injured in the first 2 or 3 weeks, if quarterback for the Jets, if Fields gets hurt, no, not the Jets. The Jets are not going to go there and run.
Right.
If give me another quarterback. If Matthew Stafford gets hurt, if whoever the if
JJ McCarthy,
Miami
JJ
Dolphins.
McCarthy, JJ
McCarthy,
McCarthy.
if he gets hurt, Miami, if he gets hurt, there's no doubt in my mind at the beginning of the year, if somebody starter goes down, they'll gladly bring in Aaron Rodgers with hopes of him falling in line to help him have the best season possible. He's better than some backup rookie that's never played before.
Wholeheartedly agree, and I love it. But boy, you just made my point there, and which is a very subtle, when you said hopes that he buys in, hopes that he settles in, hopes that he's not a locker room distractor, hopes that he doesn't want to bring everybody in and run the offense like he's always ran the offense. He hired everybody. Nathaniel Hackett got Robert Salah fired. He hired everybody there at the New York Jets. Hey, the owner was listening to him. So can he come and just humble himself? That's all. Now, while you are right and correct, I just wonder what he will do to a locker room, especially coming in when you didn't spend the whole entire training camp with him. You're just going to bring him off the street. I just want to know about the locker room a little bit. That's all.
Wednesday night edition of In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Happy to have him in the show, hosting the show. We really appreciate it. I'm actually hosting, but we do appreciate him and his time when it comes to his expertise of being a former NFL quarterback, being a college quarterback, being a Heisman runner-up, having these situations. Who better to talk quarterbacks and NFL draft and NFL free agency than Joe Ham? Let's wrap it up, man, and put a bow on this thing. Get to the world of the NBA. A lot of storylines outside of LeBron and Stephen A. Speaking of LeBron, him being injured and JJ Redick lighting into his team after a very disappointing performance without LeBron in that first game. How important is coaching in the NBA, Joe? Or does it all boil down to players and the players' chemistry? How important is the coaching in the NBA?
I would go players' chemistry 60%, coaching 40%. Players are going to have to play together. Players are going to know how to practice together on the off season, practice together when at shoot around, watch film together, know guys a sweet spot on the basketball court, communication with the help defense, trust in your teammate a lot. That's what it's going to take. X's and O's, yeah, you can make an adjustment here and there. But what about the grind? I think when you're a head coach, it's more about managing egos. When you're a head coach in the NBA, I think it's more about making sure that you can get what needs to be done as far as your superstar. How do you cater? What are the practice schedule? Are you saving guys? Are you listening to guys' wants and needs? Because I've seen a lot. I've seen the Phoenix Suns come to mind. The Phoenix Suns, man, how good are they? How good are they? Or how good should they be? Are you going to blame all that on Coach Bud Budenholzer that he's not a good coach? No, that's a champion coach, a world champion coach. And now all of a sudden it's going to have to come down to the players playing well. OKC, that's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, all those young guys, Sam Presti, GM, putting the right fit together, and those players acting like they have good chemistry. Yeah, I get it. You have to have some good coaches and calling timeouts and putting sets and, out of bounds sets and all those type of things. But when it comes down to it, man, and the NBA is the Jimmys and the Joes, and we're going to tell the coach, get out of the way. LeBron James had a numerous amount of coaches fired. And did he miss them? Not really. JJ Redick, he's putting in some more emphasis on ball movement, player movement, screening away, cutting. That's all fine and dandy. But in a 7-game series, you got to win 4 games. I think it's more so chemistry and players than head coach.
I love it, man. I love it, man. And this is the time of the show where we will sit down and allow the coach to put us in the huddle. What's your thoughts for the day, Joe, when it comes to getting in the huddle with you, Joe Ham?
Don't let this microwave society, don't let this microwave fast-paced. I need it right now. I have to develop. I have to get me, consume you. Things take time. If you're a sprinter, if you're a weightlifter, of your training for everything. You have to build the muscles up. You have to make sure you're conditioning right, taking days off, having patience through the process, a slow process. So I would say, do away with the microwave success, do away with the microwave answers, be thoughtful, be prayerful, being able to compartmentalize things, because that microwave success is going to cool off every now and then. Do you have a firm foundation where you think through things, that where you make sure this might take a little bit more time than usual? I might not get it the way I want it in a hard fast, but if I do it the right way, think through it, don't cheat, and don't cut steps. If you do those type of things, you're headed in the right direction, and let that thing marinate a little bit. Know how to put some thoughts and ideas in a crock pot and let it stew there a little bit, as opposed to having microwave success.
We got to thank God every minute of every day. And God is good all the time. And he is all the time good. If you don't know him, you need to find him and show him love. That's all he's showing you. Nothing but love. Outstanding job today, Joe. Thank you very much, man.
Hey, happy birthday to myself tomorrow.
We missed it last week, man. Early birthday shouts out to you, man. Enjoy yourself. Have some fun. And remember the words we talked about prior to that 50th birthday, man. Make that thing a reality 2 years early, man. That way when you get 50, you'll be doing a better cruise than you are right now at the age of 48. You feel me?
Nothing but love, my brother.
Much respect and love, man. We catch you with you real soon, Joe. Thank you for your time, man. That's In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. We appreciate you pulling up. Don't forget to check out me and Doug Stewart tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Stewart Media and Entertainment on YouTube and or Facebook for tomorrow's edition of the Two Live Stews Experience with Doug and Ryan Stewart. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all very much. Two Live Stews Entertainment.
That's a solid, quick album.